That's right, it's time to review another Shrek game. Just when you thought it was all ogre.
The Shrek franchise. The first franchise, and one of many, that DreamWorks milked completely dry.
Dada! What a legacy!
After the success of the first two movies, the consensus is that the third outing for our favourite green meme was not the best.
Shrek the Third? Shrek the Third, more like. Am I right?
Even so, while I want to make it crystal clear I don't particularly like the movie, I do feel as though it gets a lot of unnecessary hate.
That I'm kind of ironically contributing to, but whatever.
It's unmemorable, pointless, straight to DVD fare, but do I think it's the worst movie ever made? Absolutely not. It's just painfully average to me. Or should I say mediocre? Regardless, after the bizarre joy that was the Shrek 2 game, I still had high hopes for this one. Yes, the movie is pretty uninspired, but if the previous game is anything to go by, the game might not be anything like the movie.
We can only hope. Let's Shrek it out.
The story is told through a puppet show, pointlessly narrated by John Cleese.
With Shrek off on his quest, Charming craftily hatched a nefarious plan for revenge.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he does a decent job and all, but they could literally have got anyone to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if they spent most of their budget on him.
And judging by the rest of the game, that indeed seems to be the case.
So anyway, we then join, Lord Shrekington here, in this glorious costume.
My Lord Prince, it is time for the royal buffet.
I'm not going.
I'm afraid, my lord, that you have no choice in this matter. Royal attendants, attack formation Scepter 12, bravo!
Well, this escalated fast. Eat or die.
Care to join us for dinner? Thanks, I'm not hungry. I see you've chosen death.
This is a tutorial level, which teaches you the basics of combat, which is, in itself, incredibly basic. The idea is to beat up your foes until the triangle button prompt appears, and selecting this lets you perform a finishing move. And they call it that like it's interesting, but a lot of these finishing moves are incredibly underwhelming. You can also block enemy attacks using the R1 button. Breaking objects and eliminating enemies also provides you with fairy dust, which fills a meter in the top left. If you have a full section, you can press L1 to perform a special move. Finding something called a pester fairy will also fill the meter completely. With a full meter, pressing L1 and R1 together activates ogre power, which slows down time apparently, which is oddly the same kind of thing Fiona could do in a previous game. Do ogres really have this power to manipulate time? Is this a thing? Did I just miss this detail in the movies?
I think Fiona's going to be angry.
I mean, to be fair, you did just murder everyone. But to be fairer, they did start it.
Don't they know I've got a boat to catch? Out of the way, let's go.
Shrek and Puss in Boots then need to make their way to the docks.
Out of the way, let's go.
What is this, a new catchphrase or something?
Here we need to take control of Puss in Boots, as we have to find a switch to open the door for Shrek.
Why is he wearing boots?
He's kicking our behinds and you're worried about the boots?
It's not as exciting as it sounds though. Puss's moves are barely any different to Shrek's. At least with Shrek 2, all the characters seemed unique and had their own abilities. By comparison, this feels incredibly bland. Now and again, you'll also find chests you can open containing coins, creatively referred to as far pounds. Really? This is the best they could come up with? I guess it was an attempt to be creative.
Well, they tried. Well, they didn't. But they tried to try.
These coins are also randomly scattered around the levels, and you can spend them on certain things in the gift shop from the main menu, such as costumes and other stuff we'll discuss later. In each level, there are a number of goals to complete. These include completing the level without dying, performing a set number of finishing moves, and collecting random items for no reason. Speaking of which, every level contains a number of souvenir mugs to collect. Because why not, I guess. Completing one of these goals provides you with a coin bonus. Not long after we find our boat, Donkey catches up to us.
Look, Shrek, our crew is all ready to go. I'm gonna go get me a deck chair and one of those drinks with a little umbrella in it.
We don't have a crew, Donkey. They're trying to steal our boat.
I've got no teeth, Donkey. Once we've disposed of the attacking pirates, we enter the pirate ship, where we do more of the same, I guess.
We're going to the wide open spaces of Antarctica.
What are you doing here? You're not in this game.
That's a nice cameo, but it's just reminding me I could be playing a much better game.
Roger that. Puss's special move makes him do the face. You know, the face. Oh. And This serves to temporarily daze enemies, which I thought was a nice touch. Holding down the circle button powers up a big punch, which can send enemies flying and destroy certain sturdy objects. Shortly after this, we get a rehash of that gag from the movie, in which Fiona tries to tell Shrek she's pregnant.
No, I said I'm...
You're what?
And yeah, it wasn't really all that funny to begin with, but oh my sweet lord, did they make this scene worse.
There's something I need to tell you.
Well, can it wait till I get back?
No,
What was that?
He's not even on the boat yet. There's literally no reason they can't just move closer to each other. What, are they social distancing or something?
Well, they certainly weren't before, if you know what I mean. Oi, oi.
You're gonna be a daddy! Santa Maria!
We're then nicely informed by John Cleese that Charming has sent the evil queen, Captain Hook and Stromboli, to dispose of us. And thank goodness for this narration, because I can barely see what's going on.
Whoever's in charge of the lighting for this play, you're fired.
And next level sees us arrive at Ye Old Ruins on the outskirts of Worcestershire.
I reckon the angry mob is here to tell us where to go.
Isn't that just the most cliched angry mob we've ever seen? Do you people speak actual words, or...? I take it that's a no.
Are they going to attack me, or just have an angry mob rave? After fighting our way through hordes of apparently very unfriendly people, we eventually discover some equally unfriendly jocks.
From hot to not. She's such a princess, dude.
And no, they don't like you either, simply because you're different.
That's high school for you. Who else can relate?
Really though, why is everyone trying to murder me? What did I do? I get the fairy tale villains, but these guys have nothing to do with me.
Ow!
Speaking of which...
See what I did there?
Here we finally have an enemy who requires a little extra thought to defeat. The witch is protected by a bubble shield that can only be destroyed by throwing objects at it. Wait, you're telling me my hulking punches have no effect, but the shield is completely destroyed by a football? Really?
Ah, yes, the football. Every witch's Achilles heel.
Oh my god, is she having a seizure? And as for Shrek's carrying move, what the...
Who thought this animation looked good, really?
He bounces around like a rag doll. I mean, what the ogre-loving fuck? Anyway, we then need to take control of Donkey as we look for Arthur. And yes, the students are all trying to kill Donkey too, apparently.
Well, nice of you to join me.
Oh yeah, and you might be wondering why Shrek is naked. See, at this stage in the game, I was feeling kind of bored, so I decided to check out some of the costumes. And so that explains why, from now on, Shrek appears to be in his underwear. I mean, it says it's swimwear, but it basically just looks like a pair of boxer shorts. I just thought it might spice up the gameplay a little.
It didn't.
In retrospect, it was also probably poor timing, considering we're in a high school. It's bad enough there's an ogre breaking into a school and attacking students, but a naked ogre?
I've just made the situation a lot worse.
Here, we not only need to dispose of the witches, but we also need to chase after a nerd carrying the key to the next area.
Get back here with that key!
Once we track him down, we're treated to this witty dialogue.
You are not high enough level to exit this maze.
Shut up!
Good comeback, yeah.
Save versus unconsciousness. Oh, bummer.
This game does have camera control, but I seriously don't see the point in it. For the most part, the camera remains fixed, but you do have the option to zoom in and out ever so slightly. Wow, that change is revolutionary. I am so thrilled they included this feature.
Hey kid, which one is Artie?
Shrek then unknowingly speaks to Arthur himself, who tricks him into speaking to Lancelot instead.
Unhand me. You've insulted Lancelot's honor for the final time. You shall face me on the field of battle.
We then randomly switch to Sleeping Beauty, who needs to find Fiona and the other princesses so they can break out of jail. I get that she's sort of had a prominent role in the movie, but I really didn't expect her to be a major character or anything. That, and of all the characters we could have played as here, why Beauty? I mean, I could have been a badass Snow White and summoned woodland creatures to attack for me.
That was like the best scene in the movie and she's not even in this game.
We could have even played as Queen Lillian, who can now apparently break through brick walls with her head. Yeah, that was kind of weird, actually. But no, they lump you with the one who suffers from chronic narcolepsy.
Yes, because I'm sure that will inject some much-needed vigour into this otherwise tedious game.
And her special ability is making men fall in love with her.
How empowering!
And she can use this ability to trick them into opening prison cells.
Gotta run.
See ya.
It's actually quite amusing just how tough she is. She uses no weapons, and yet has no problem taking out the many armed guards patrolling the dungeon. I mean, the ineptitude of the guards really isn't much of a surprise, considering those we've encountered before. But still, this woman can apparently destroy trees with her bare hands. Amazing.
Or maybe they're just weaker than they look. Their bark is worse than their bite. I'm sorry.
We then return to Shrek, who now automatically dons a suit of armor. No more green dad bod eye candy for us.
Gosh darn it.
The idea here is to destroy Lancelot's towers.
Nice shot.
You know, this is my second movie game review of the year, and already it feels oddly familiar.
Another one down!
Once we've won, we need to help Artie finish his final exam, which involves embarking on a quest in the high mountains in search of the elusive Lady of the Lake, and Shrek is obviously reluctant, probably because it wasn't in the movie.
Are you sure we're going the right way?
Not exactly dressed for the occasion, are we?
Ooh, he must be feeling a bit nippy.
Here we find some pretty hostile gnomes.
Hello, little guy. You seem friendly. Have you seen the Lady of the Lake?
Well, they're about as friendly as everyone else we've met so far in this game.
And the grunting noises Shrek makes in this game are questionable. It sounds like he's got something stuck in his throat or something.
Hey, lady! Boy, does your lake look refreshing!
Oh, this is making me cringe more than the movie did.
This is so lame.
You said it, not me.
The lady tells the pair that all they need to do to complete the quest is delve deep into the mountain and throw a coin in the well.
Okay, but I'm kind of broke.
Doesn't your friend have money?
Money? No.
You bloody liar! You've been collecting coins all game! We spent most of it on this surprisingly expensive pair of underwear, and you're telling me we can't spare at least one coin here?
Bah, humbug.
This is so lame.
You know, I can't work out if this is being meta or not.
Anyway, the lady promises to give them a coin as long as they retrieve 7 magical high-heeled shoes. Why 7? Wouldn't it make more sense to have an even number?
Those shoes are just so pretty. Now hurry up and bring them back to the lake.
Anyway, next we take control of Artie as we make our way to the well. Apparently, since he uses a shield, Artie is more proficient at blocking attacks. Although, to be honest, I didn't really notice a difference. After depositing our coin in the well, we don't get a reward, much to Artie's disappointment. So the lady tells us to head over to the cave behind the lake, where apparently something awaits us.
This is so lame.
Yes, we know. You don't have to keep telling me so. I can tell.
Meanwhile, Shrek instructs Donkey to dress as a dragon and hide in the cave, on the basis that...
Artie wanted to fight a dragon for his quest.
Okay, 1, this is the worst disguise I've ever seen, and 2, we're all cool with sacrificing Donkey now? Well, okay. Much to Donkey's surprise, and I'm assuming relief, we soon discover that there really is a dragon in the cave.
Is that you, Shrek? Hey, where'd you get that cheap costume?
And it's up to Artie to defeat it, even though we're clearly trespassers and the dragon is surely just protecting its territory.
I think a certain dragon back home won't be too pleased with what's going on here.
And Donkey's okay with all this, apparently. Can't wait to see how their relationship will pan out. Anyway, this boss fight is pretty pitiful. The ice dragon can freeze you solid if you stand still, but otherwise this is a breeze, albeit a very cold one. There is no strategy here as far as I could tell. Really, you just have to hit the dragon. That's it. To make this even more underwhelming, the dragon doesn't even die. What was the point of all that?
You might say that fight left me feeling a little cold.
We then switch back to Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty, for more of the same things that we did before. Throughout the game, you also find these colouring pages, which you can view in their entirety at the end of a level. I'm not sure what these are for, but regardless, I think we can agree they're terrible. Beauty can also float using her dress, which allows her to drop down long shafts without taking damage.
Fiona! Where's Rapunzel and the others? I heard Rapunzel's with Charming now. That tramp!
Eventually, we not only locate Fiona, but also Gingy, in his own special candy cage for some reason.
Hey, why didn't you just eat your way out?
No! That's revolting!
I'm not a cannibal!
Gingy then reveals that Stromboli took Pinocchio to the evil queen's castle, and we briefly get the chance to play as Fiona as we continue to search for an exit to this ridiculously elaborate dungeon.
There were certainly no expenses spared on security.
Meanwhile, Artie and Shrek are travelling home to Far, Far Away.
Feels like we've been walking forever.
Before we can progress any further, we're ambushed by none other than Captain Hook himself, bearing that most dreaded of deadly weapons.
The piano?
What a lucky day for you and me. You've traveled very far. Come looky at my scar.
Yeah, it's not exactly Chopin, is it?
I mean, I guess he's missing a hand. We should probably cut him some slack.
Oh, and by the way, I decided I'm a pirate now, although I look more like a French stereotype. Je suis un ogre. Oh. He also reminds me of Black Jacques Chirac for some reason. You'd also think dressing as a pirate would deter these guys somehow. Look, I swear I'm one of you.
I just want to belong.
Meanwhile, Hook is singing a song casually alluding to the fact that he's evil. I just love subtle, intricate lyrics like this. It's pure poetry.
It is admittedly a little on the nose.
I guess the fact that Hook is singing throughout this fight is kinda neat. Although it would be neater if the song wasn't absolutely dreadful.
Still, it's surprisingly catchy. You might say it's got a good hook.
Our friends then wind up shipwrecked on an unknown shore. Here we meet Merlin.
Hello, travel hair.
Not that Merlin.
Oh, my!
That's the one.
Who agrees to send us back to Far, Far Away as long as we find him 4 magical horseshoes for his teleportation spell. Upon finding the horseshoes, we encounter this big dude.
Oh my, you've been eating your spinach.
I don't know who he is, but he doesn't seem to like me very much. In a shocking twist, Merlin accidentally teleports us to the evil queen's castle.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Wizard.
What an unfortunate and oddly specific location.
Whose side is he on exactly?
Rather than simply walk away as any normal person would do, we have no choice but to enter the castle.
Isn't this just making it easier for the bad guys to kill us?
The evil queen then seals us in, and it's up to Shrek to battle all the enemies she throws at us. Then we need to use Puss in Boots on the rampart, as we need to find 2 switches to lower the drawbridge for Shrek.
I hope there's a fireman to get me down from here.
The platforming here is horrible, particularly this part with the rotating platforms.
Guess it's lucky I always land on my feet.
Once over the bridge, Shrek realizes that the enemies are all teleporting from a magic gate. So I guess all we have to do is make our way along the obstacle course and destroy the gate. Seems easy enough. No! Don't go in there! Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, okay, that was my fault. Oops.
As soon as the gate is destroyed, we hear Pinocchio crying for help nearby. As it turns out, he's being held prisoner in Stromboli's workshop by emo Pinocchios.
Or as I like to call them, Pinocchimos.
This is actually fairly creative, and to top it off, these puppets are pretty creepy too.
Beat us up! We can take it! We're not real boys!
Although is it me or do they sound like pigeons? After rescuing Pinocchio, he reveals Prince Charming is putting on a play.
I'd complain this was anticlimactic, but this is literally what happens in the movie.
In order to get to Far, Far Away, we need Merlin's help again.
Just meet me over here. Oh, and do be careful. It looks rather dangerous.
Could you not have waited for me somewhere a little less life-threatening?
I swear this guy's got it in for me.
There's the enemy castle. Let's smash it.
Next, we have another castle capture challenge, as we need to destroy the dungeon walls to free the princesses. This is altogether rather pointless, though, when you know they've already escaped.
Surely this would have risked killing them too. I don't think you've thought this through.
They escaped yesterday.
Oops. Sorry about the walls.
We then switch back to Fiona as we have to navigate the catacombs, and I thought it appropriate to wear my funeral dress here. You know, just to add a dash of colour to the doom and gloom. It's amusing to me that this is Fiona's only unlockable item. Seriously, of all outfits Fiona could have, why a funeral dress? It's a bit morbid, isn't it?
Still can't disagree that it fits the tone of the game fairly well. We're all dying for this to end.
Meanwhile, Shrek and Artie finally arrive in Agrabah, apparently.
Prince Ali, fabulous here!
Actually, you know what? He's less Prince Ali and more Widow Twanky, don't you think?
I'm Shrek, you twit.
As you can see, I decided this was a great time to wear that pantomime regal costume again, which, by the way, somehow costs less than that overpriced underwear. Perhaps it was on sale or something. Anyway, I won't talk about this level too much, as it's not too different from, well, you know, all the other levels. Long story short, eventually we find Fiona.
Yay!
But we also find Charming.
I've been saving a special beating just for you. Careful, big boy. One move and your friends get it.
Oh no!
I just love how low-key that response is.
Your friends are going to die. Oh no.
Guards, chain this monstrosity up.
Yes, sir, but, which one? Anyway, it turns out Charming wants the real Shrek in his play, so he can kill him before an audience.
This is so lame, Charming.
Yes, Artie, we know. But we're near the end now, so suck it up.
We first need to play as Artie as we fight some more guards, I guess. And we then need to avoid Charming and cut the ropes to free Shrek. He's behind you!
Excuse me while I exit stage left. Not just yet.
In a less than gripping climax, Shrek disposes of Charming and Artie becomes king. And the game ends as the puppet show draws to a close in another incredibly dark cutscene.
Come on, Shrek, stand up, think about it.
And as if Shrek wasn't terrifying enough to look at in this lighting, we're then subjected to creepy ogre babies.
Burn it.
And that's pretty much it. Wow. Okay, so that was underwhelming. Not that I'm surprised, it's been underwhelming since the outset.
At least it's been consistent, I guess.
Ah, but we're not done yet. What about the minigames? Maybe these are more fun.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up.
These games are okay, I guess. Firstly, there's a timed platforming challenge, the goal being to get your teammates to the other side of the catacombs within a time limit. There's also Shrekel board, which is somehow worse than one of my puns. And it's a lot like the Madagascar shuffleboard, but it's lacking the fun element. Gripping stuff. There's a frog herder game in which you need to, you guessed it, herd some frogs.
These are slippery creatures.
And there's a shooting gallery in which you need to splat the enemy cutouts with tomatoes.
Ooh, that had to hurt.
And yes, this is basically a much better enhanced version of the Splat the Night level from Shrek Treasure Hunt. AKA the greatest video game in existence.
No, really. It's Shrektacular.
Finally, there's a minigame in which you have to fire a cannon at some approaching pirates who want to get their grubby hands on Shrek's booty. Who wouldn't want that?
Oh.
These games are pretty uninspired, but nothing too awful, I suppose. I love that the loading screen tries to encourage me to play them by asking, can you score high enough to get a gold medal in all the games? To which I say,
Possibly, but I don't care enough to find out.
there's also a multiplayer game which is basically a two-player version of those boring castle capture games. You can also purchase new locations for this game from the gift shop, you know, for some variety, if you can call it that.
Fire!
I also love how uninspired the character selection is. Player 1 can either play as Shrek or Fiona. Meanwhile, player 2 can either play as Captain Hook or Fiona. Of all the characters from this franchise, why is this so limited? You can purchase more characters from the gift shop, but even these are just dwarves and a cyclops. To be honest, I don't know where the rest of the cast is, but I really wouldn't blame them for not wanting to take part. It's so bloody boring.
Nice shot.
There's also some random unfunny commentaries you can purchase from the gift shop, and these are basically pretend behind-the-scenes commentaries from the cast.
Is that my soda? What soda? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a nice idea, but the execution is weak. It would be better if they were, you know, worth listening to.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
What a waste of money that was. I think I'll be holding on to the rest of my money.
Bah, humbug.
Now that's respectable.
It's a real shame, but this game is nowhere near the quality of Shrek 2. I guess it kinda mirrors the movie in that respect. Most of this game is bland and forgettable, and almost all of the enemies are defeated in the exact same way. It's not the worst game ever though. If it weren't for the surprising quality of the previous game, I'd probably be more lenient. Visually, the settings are varied enough, and it can be quite amusing at times, whether they intended it to be or not. But the gameplay is awkward and kinda boring, to be honest.
I'm gonna cry!
In the words of the ever self-aware Artie,
This is so lame.
Thank God that's over with.
Shut up!